Throughout the years, countless games have been released on digital storefronts, and as long as the digital storefront itself stays up, they usually stay up too. However, some are just removed at random. Sometimes it's copyright, and sometimes the company that makes the game just doesn't exist anymore, so it has to be delisted. And there's even more reasons for games to get delisted. So in this video, I'd like to take a look at some games that, over the years, have been delisted for one reason or another. I'm done wasting time. Let's go ahead and get to the first game. Project Downfall is a game that's a lot like Hotline Miami, and it's very obvious that was a big inspiration for the game. I first learned about this game through a social media ad of all things, and I guess that's proof that advertisements work because I eventually bought the game. It's a very good game, all things considered. The Hotline Miami comparison doesn't really do any justice to it. It stands on its own pretty well. This game was in early access for quite some time, and I think it came out of early access? I'm not entirely sure, because as you guessed it, the game is now delisted. The reasoning? None was given. As a matter of fact, the game still gets updates from time to time, even though it's delisted. It's a very strange situation for sure. I've tried to do some research on why it might have been delisted. All I can come up with is that the main character looks like John Wick from the movie, well, John Wick. John Wick is played by Keanu Reeves, so maybe Keanu Reeves didn't want his likeness being in the game. I feel like this is a bit of a stretch though. All things considered, this is a very small game. I just don't think it would be on Keanu Reeves' radar, or any big movie studios. It could just be temporarily delisted as well. But at the making of this video, I think it's been almost a month it's been delisted, so I'm not sure. If the game ever goes back on sale, it's a very easy recommend for me. But for now, you can only play the demo that's been left up. Recently, some of the Need for Speed games went on sale, so I went ahead and picked up Most Wanted. And I thought to myself, hey, this one's pretty good, what about the other ones? So I went ahead and took a look at, well, the other ones. And at the bottom of the Steam page for all the Need for Speed games are Shift 1 and Shift 2. They were delisted, but I still kinda wanted to play them, so I found a copy through other means. So I installed it and gave it a shot, and the first thing I noticed is this is very different from Most Wanted. Most Need for Speed games are a little more arcadey, however Shift is more of a sim title, quite a departure for the series. The only other sim racing game I played was Gran Turismo on the PS3. I am not a Gran Turismo fanatic, I actually think those games are kinda boring. So when I started to play this game and figured out it was a simulation, I was a little worried, but no, I love this game actually. It's really fun actually. The car customization is great, the tracks themselves are fantastic. I could honestly probably make an entire video on this game, and I might one day. But if the game is so good, why was it delisted? My guess is copyrighted music. You're probably not going to hear any of the music in the video because, well, it's copyrighted. If I were to play any of this music, my channel would be obliterated. My guess is that EA couldn't afford to renew the copyright licenses for all the songs. Music licenses can go up to several grand sometimes. And when I mean several, I mean like 100 grand, probably even more. So I guess it's understandable why they wouldn't renew it. It's not all bad news though. If you have a PS3 or 360, you can still get this game. Copies of it online go for about $20, if even. Honorable mention. Dark Void Zero. Dark Void Zero is just an honorable mention because it can't make up its mind. You could buy it for a while, then it was delisted, but now it's back, but now that it's back it has a DRM on it. The DRM, it seems to actively prevent you from redeeming the key to play it, so it might as well still be delisted anyway. Let's take a break from PC games and look over at the console space. Mainly the PS3. There's a little game on there called Okabu, made by a small indie team called Hand Circus. Okabu is their only console game, at least to my knowledge. They seem to mainly do mobile games. How is Okabu though? It's okay, I guess. It has a very unique art style, but other than that, it's nothing too insane. You play as these two little whale things helping out and saving these villagers, while at the same time solving some very simple puzzles. Like I said, nothing too crazy. I've only been able to play the trial for this video. The full version seems to be lost to time. Usually when a game is delisted you can find a copy through other means, but not for Okabu. It seems to have been delisted sometime in 2018. I can't think of a reason why though. There's no copyrighted music in it, at least that I'm aware of. No problems with publishers because they are their own publisher. My original thought was that maybe the studio went under, but no, they have a Discord. Most dead game studios don't have a Discord channel. No idea how active it is though. I wish I had more to tell you about this game, but there's not much. If I ever do come across some information on why this was delisted, I'll make a comment and pin it down below. But for now, let's move on. On November 8th, 2021, Capcom announced they were removing various titles from the Steam store. The reasoning for this? They planned on removing Games for Windows Live from these games. If you don't remember Games for Windows Live, it's best described as Microsoft's version of Steam. The only difference being is that Steam worked while Microsoft's storefront didn't. People would buy games on Microsoft's store and only have them not work, or just not connect online. I even saw a few cases where it completely shut down people's computers when they tried to play it. It was not a good platform, but I think that kinda goes without saying. A lot of the Games for Windows Live's features were baked in the games though. So even after the server shut down, you still needed a Microsoft account to access these games, even offline sometimes. But it's been a long time since it shut down. If you really wanted to play these games that still had Games for Windows Live on it, there are ways around it. And in some cases you could completely remove Games for Windows Live. That would let you just play the game like any other game without having to deal with that stuff. So when Capcom came around saying they were going to remove Games for Windows Live from most of their games that had it, I was a little ecstatic. That meant every time I wanted to install one of these games, mainly Lost Planet 2, that meant I wouldn't have to do a bunch of workarounds every time I reinstalled it, and I also wouldn't lose all my progress every time I uninstalled it. But it's been about 2 years since they announced that change, so I think it's safe to say these games are just going to remain permanently delisted. Another honorable mention. The first Dark Souls. This game is just an honorable mention because it got a quote remaster. Supposedly the remaster gave it better graphics, but I can't tell a difference to be honest. It was delisted a little bit after the remaster came out actually. So in a way you can kinda blame the remaster for the original's delisting. It's not all bad though. This game had a physical version. Consoles only though. And it goes for pretty cheap if you still want to play this version. Well, that's about it for the video. I could keep going on as there is literally thousands of delisted games, but I'm getting tired of saying the word delisted, so for now that's about it. Maybe in the future I'll make another video like this, but for now, if you like this type of content, I'd appreciate it if you left a like, it helps me out a lot. Maybe even consider subscribing, as I upload stuff like this all the time. But for now, I think that's about it for me. I'll see you in the next one.